All right, let's go to Winona now and let's talk about owls. Specifically, there is this push to raise some money and awareness for the International Owl Center. So I don't know if you knew this, but Minnesota has one, and it's in the city of Houston, Minnesota, not Houston, Texas, but Houston, Minnesota has the center. So we saw the story in the Rochester Post Bulletin, and they had a story about plans to build this brand new facility for the Owl Center. Going to cost quite a bit, $17 million. And so far they've raised a portion of that, about just over $1 million of that. So we wanted to talk a little bit more about this, find out a little bit more about what they're trying to do. So joining us now is Carla, is it Bloom? Bloom, I almost had it. The Executive Director for the International Owl Center. Carla, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
All right.
And so I also brought along JR, the Eastern Screech Owl, for you to see.
I see that. So let's start by telling us a little bit about JR and you know who he is, what he does, what do we need to know about him?
JR is an Eastern Screech Owl, and he's one of our educational ambassadors and does very well when we do online programming because he's so small. We can bring him right up to the camera for real close-up shots. He is a non-releasable owl. His parents had eye issues. They came from they were working at the Illinois Raptor Center, and he was sort of an oops. They thought they were two girls living together, and then there were eggs, and then babies, and oops, one was a boy.
Okay.
So he wasn't allowed to be released, so he came to work with us as an educator at the International Owl Center.
Okay, before we dig into the center itself, can I just ask you, as long as we've got him there, what are some myths that people have about owls that are the most common that you can kind of debunk for us?
Oh, there are so many. Like, all owls are nocturnal. Well, there's some that are strictly active during the day. That all owls have really good hearing. Not all of them do. Not all of them have facial discs. Not all of them have silent flight. Not all of them have asymmetrical ears. So there's a whole lot of things that we get into at the Owl Center because owls are a really diverse group of birds. They're not all the same. There's a lot of diversity going on.
And I see him turning his head there. Are all owls kind of the same in their ability to kind of turn to pretty much all the way back?
The head turning varies by species. So all owls can go from the front all the way directly over their spine. And then a few species in extreme circumstances can go all the way to the other shoulder. Whoa. So from the front, they can do a 270.
Amazing.
But almost never do. I've never seen one do that.
Okay, back there. Okay, so this is a great opportunity for us to just talk a little bit about the Owl Center, which some may not know is even there. Tell us about the center. Clearly, there's some education that goes on there, but what do people need to know about the International Owl Center?
The International Owl Center is the only all-owl education center in the United States, and our main focus is education, and we do some research. We also have a live stream that was part of our research, so you can watch Iris the Great Horned Owl on our YouTube channel. And we just had a startling video from Iris. Her mate Rusty passed away a few years ago, so we just have it on Iris. And a young starling got in there, flew straight at her face, and she reached up and grabbed it with her beak, which is not normally how owls catch things, and normally she doesn't catch things in her aviary. So that was sort of a wild thing to happen.
When did that happen? A couple days ago? Oh my goodness.
Yep, so you can find the clip on our Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh, that would be great. And that's going all the time? Is it just a live stream that's going all the time, or are there certain times? Okay, wow, that's awesome.
Because she's captive, it's 24/7, 365.
And obviously we've learned quite a bit about owls already just in talking to you for a couple of minutes, and there's education there. The research piece I'm interested about too. Tell me a little bit about that. What type of research do they do there?
The research we started with was great horned owl vocalizations, because we have several great horned owls. Some are human imprints, and then, well, one is a human imprint, and basically it was kind of self-defense. She expected me to respond as a male great horned owl. I didn't know what I was doing, so kind of started studying her vocalizations, the wild ones. Then we got the captive breeding pair, which is what Iris is from, why we have Iris on our live stream, because we wanted people who were watching the live stream to help with the research and submit observations. So you still can do that. Now it's mostly Iris, but we do get wild ones. And one thing we were not expecting is wild barn owls to show up on the acoustics, because the microphones can pick up within about half a mile.
Okay.
And we started picking up wild barn owls, which are not supposed to be in Minnesota.
Really?
Barred owls, yes, barn owls know. So then that veered off into getting automated recording units and placing them in different locations and documenting barn owls returning to the state using acoustics.
Wow. And this is kind of a dumb question. I really don't know the answer. What reasons do they use, their voices? Like, is it warning? Is it mating? Is it why do we hear them?
Owls vocalize, for a reason. There's an intended recipient and an intended reason. So very often what we normally hear is mating. So like, hey, this is my territory. I'm hooting with my mate, or I'm calling with my mate over here. Our human imprints, like JR, he will sing to us sometimes. You gonna sing? No, sometimes he'll sing back.
I thought he was going to. He opened his mouth like he was going to.
I think he was thinking about throwing up a pellet.
Okay, that would have been great too.
Right. So sometimes when they get really excited, especially if you watch our live video feed, you can hear our other captive owls, and our barred owls are very talkative, and they get really excited and make all kinds of crazy sounds. So it can be good excited, like, oh, I'm seeing somebody I like, or it can be bad excited, ooh, somebody's in my territory.
Okay.
There can be alarm calls. There's a whole lot of different reasons they vocalize. And parents talking to babies and begging calls and things like that.
There's so much to learn. This would be a great day trip for folks to bring their kids to Houston, Minnesota this summer to learn about it. But it sounds like there's this really big plan in place for a new facility. And so tell us, why that's needed and what's going on there. Where are you guys at?
Pretty much anybody that comes to our center will say, you're in a brick building in the middle of town. That's not what you expect. So it's a way for us to get started. We're outgrowing that space. It has been a great place to get started, but for instance, we have one toilet. So imagine a day when we have, a few hundred people going through, or a kindergarten class or whatever. There's one toilet. That's it. Special events, people go elsewhere. We only have one acoustic space. So during the programs, if the phone rings, guess what? Everybody hears the conversation and they hear the phone ring. We don't always have enough seating when we're busy during the summer and for special events. We have to be closed midweek because we only have one program space. So to be able to do school programs and library programs and have other groups come in, we have to be closed to the public so that we can accommodate those other groups. So there's just so many limiting factors for us that we really need the new facility. And anyone that's been at our center on a busy weekend unequivocally knows we desperately need a new center. So it's something we've been working on for many years. We've purchased 6 properties over the course of over 10 years. We've removed the buildings on those properties. So we're going to have 4.5 acres in a park at the edge of town, which is more what people would expect. And then the owls will be able to live on site. One of our big issues is JR and his other co-workers with feathers have to commute to work every day because a brick building is not an appropriate place for them to live. So they live out in the country, and then every day I have to load them up into their transport boxes, into the Owlmobile. Yes, we have an Owlmobile that transports them to work every day. Then they sit in their space, and then they come home every evening. And then on days off, then, for instance, yesterday and tomorrow, birds will be going elsewhere for programs. But I spend about 200 hours a year loading up and hauling owls back and forth, which is more than the equivalent of working full-time for a month.
Okay,
so,
all right. Okay, so all right, I got one more quick one for you, and it's really important. Does this depend entirely on donations? Because it's a $17 million project, so how can people help?
Yes, it's heavily funded by donations, and people can make donations. And the fun thing is, because we're the only all-owl education center in the United States, our donor base is like everyone that walks through the door. For instance, we had somebody just over a week ago that showed up. He read about us in a book, came into the Owl Center and made a $10,000 donation.
Wow.
So things like that happen. We've got donors in Germany and other countries. Some of our major donors are in Colorado and may never have been to the Owl Center, and they're interested in supporting our online programming or the research ends of what we do. So there's opportunities to sponsor rooms in the new facility, or you can sponsor an aviary, or you can just make a general donation. And they don't have to just be cash donations. Qualified charitable distributions have been very popular. We can accept stock donations. We can be creative. If you're a farmer and want to donate a load of corn or beans, we can accept things like that. So there's all kinds of ways that people can give.
Well, Carla, I really appreciate your time. It was so great to meet you and your feathered friend right there, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
take care.